Assalamu alaikum, YouTube. My name is Joseph Warren, and you're watching the public speaking tips of the day. I say tips because I have 2 tips for you today. Today's topic is all about how to keep an audience engaged, how to keep the audience's attention, keep them staring at you as you're speaking, and just basically keep them hanging on your every word when you're public speaking. There are many ways to do that, and I'm thinking about maybe turning this into a series where I talk about all the different ways you can do that. But today, I'm just gonna talk about two different ways. And it's perfect timing for this video because tomorrow I'm giving a 90-minute presentation on financial fitness. And when I first heard I was giving this presentation, my first thought was, how am I gonna keep the audience engaged for that period of time? Because if I put myself in the audience's shoes and I'm just listening to someone speak for 90 minutes nonstop, that sounds boring. That's flashbacks of like the worst college professors I had back in the day. That's not what I want to do. I want to keep the audience engaged with the material for the whole 90 minutes so they get the benefit of being there and the benefit of spending 90 minutes of their time watching me present. So here are 2 ways that you can keep your audience engaged. Number 1, ask provocative questions. You want to get the audience's attention right from the introduction. People judge you based on the beginning, and they also remember the beginning and end of things. So you want a strong closing and a strong introduction. Now, my topic is financial fitness, so I'll be asking provocative questions about money. And I actually came up with quite a few, which I can ask you now if you want to consider these on your own. And I may explore these questions in more details during Financial Friday. The first question is, what is the dumbest money mistake you have ever made? Now, this is a good question because it's open-ended, it's provocative, it's challenging by saying it's the dumbest money mistake, so it kind of gets their attention right away. And it also gives the audience members a chance to tell a story. So really, the best questions that you ask your audience will get them talking and telling stories about their experiences and sharing. That way, it's not just you presenting, but it's more interactive and there's more lively interaction in the room. Some other provocative questions I came up with for this topic are, when was the last time that you bought something primarily to impress someone? And what are some beliefs that you have about money? What are your beliefs about money? And which of those would you consider harmful beliefs? Which are good beliefs? You could even ask, what's the most important money lesson you've ever learned in your life? And how did you learn it? Now, say the audience puts up a wall when you ask a question because it's too provocative. That's a chance for you to use a second technique. Tell your own story. Tell a personal story to get your audience engaged. Now, the elements of a good story are this. There's a character. In this case, if it's a personal story, it's you. And that character runs into conflict. Things start going wrong. It seems like there's no way things are ever going to get better. And then somehow at the end, things get resolved. That's a simple structure of a story. Now, if there's no conflict, your story will be boring. That's the reason that the Batman movies make so much more than the Superman movies. Superman's too perfect. He has too many powers. He has like only one weakness, kryptonite. And it makes the movies boring because there's not a lot of conflict. Batman, on the other hand, he's very troubled. He's human. He doesn't have any superpowers. And that makes for a very interesting story because he gets into situations and you're like, how is Batman gonna get out of this? Use the same technique in your own story. So for instance, when I say, what's the dumbest money mistake you've ever made? Say the audience is like, I don't want to share that right off the bat in this group of people. Then that's a chance for me to be vulnerable and share my own dumbest money mistake, which some of you may know. I'll share it on another Financial Friday, but it has something to do with spending $700 on steak. Anyway, so these are 2 ways to keep your audience engaged. Number 1, ask a provocative question that's thought-provoking, open-ended, and gets the audience to share from their own experiences, their own lives. Number 2, tell a personal story, one that's vulnerable, and then one that has some conflict. So the story can't be, once upon a time I was perfect, and then I became more perfect, and now I'm just like the most perfect person ever. Superman is boring. Don't be Superman, be Batman. Talk about your conflict, your struggles, all the things that are going wrong in your life. And then at the end, let the audience sit there with it for a little bit, really ham it up, and then resolve the problem, and that story will stick in your audience's mind. So this is 2 ways. There's many other ways. I'll just say humor is one way we might talk about next week. And I'm thinking about making this a series, so stay tuned next week and I'll talk about other ways to keep your audience engaged, especially when you're speaking for an extended period of time. Farewell.